Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The National Dialogue Committee, chaired by Kalonzo Musyoka and Kimani Ichung'wah, finally released their agreement. They have been sitting for over 2 months now. There have been pushes and pulls here and there. And I remember last week, the ODM fraternity reported that the dialogue was almost collapsing because the government side was not keen on matters reducing the cost of living. And they said that they were not going to sign it if the agenda on reduction of the cost of living was not going to be discussed holistically, and we come up with a proper pragmatic ways of reducing the cost of living. So finally, this is what they have come up with.
NADCO recommends that all arms of government shall reduce their travel budgets by 50%, and that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission review daily subsistence allowances for state and public officers with a view to reducing by 30%. B. NADCO recommends the Minister of Energy and Petroleum, in liaison with the National Treasury, to reduce the road maintenance levy and the anti-adulteration levy by 5 shillings and 3 shillings per litre, respectively. The committee was unable to reach a consensus on a number of other proposals on the matter of cost of living, including the reduction of VAT on fuel from 16% to 8%, and scrapping the housing levy. These twin issues are contained in the Finance Act 2023, I beg your pardon.
The report that we are presenting to the nation today is a product of compromises forged in the crucible of shared sacrifice and unwavering patriotism. It signifies a commitment to forging a path forward that embraces inclusivity, justice, and progress for all Kenyans. Let us solemnly pledge to uphold the values of brotherhood and sisterhood.
And MPs are already preparing for battle in Parliament. There are those who are saying that they will not listen to anything if the cost of living will not be pragmatic, will not be things that will reflect and touch on real lives of Kenyans. But let me ask you, before I give you what the other MPs are saying, there is a reason why people went to the streets. Did we go to the streets so that the government can reduce the traveling allowances? Did people go to the street? Did you hear them saying that they are going on the street so that the energy minister can reduce roads maintenance fee or all that? No, that wasn't the main reason why people went to the streets. The main thing that triggered people going to the streets was the Finance Bill 2023 that also contained the housing levy. That is the main reason why people went to the street. It also prompted the Busia Senator, Okia Mutata, to go to court. All these other things they're trying to touch on, these are secondary. The reason why people went to the street has not been touched. In fact, they failed to agree on it. Listen to Saboti MP Caleb Hamisi, who is a very close ally of Raila Odinga, what is telling Raila and the other Kenyans.
Na hata wakifanya mabadiliko, because I'm aware that they have gone in Naivasha kutoa mabadiliko kidogo ili watudanganye kwa bunge kwamba tunaona we have now amended, let's pass. We are a sharp beyond that. Tumejua uchafu yote. We were going to reject the finance bill with or without amendment in totality. Aende akae chini na experts atoe finance ambayo haitaweka tax Unajengea watu manyumba, nyinyi mko na manyumba, mnataka tu chakula. Watu wataka manyumba ama chakula.
That is a missing. And then Mudhoni wa Muchomba.
Debate yetu ni one man, one challenge, one vote. Nikaambiwa ni nyamaze. Mwaka imeisha. Tumegawa basari raundi ya kwanza. Sasa tunangojea raundi ya pili. Ni haki mimi ni nyamaze mkiteseka. Mtaseke. Hiyo ripoti Ishongwa anataka kuleta kule bunge. Hiyo ripoti ambayo ametengeneza wakiwa na akina Kalonzo Musyoka. Kama haitakuwa na maneno ya one man, one shilling, one vote, wa Muchomba anaomba ruhusa kutoka kwenu.
Allow me to say this. Sometimes we need to call a spade a spade. We don't need to call it a big spoon. For those who have been following this channel, I've always told you that William Ruto, while in Chatham House, told the gathering that he wanted to form a government of a president as the head of state and the head of government, and the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces, the deputy president as the head of government, the leader of official opposition leader. He also talked of 2/3 gender rule. Of course, he didn't touch on the prime minister, because back then he was using that as a campaign tool that the Raila team wanted to dish out positions.
My suggestions are as follows. First, the national government should be reconfigured to comprise the national executive headed by the president and the official opposition headed by the leader of the party or coalition of parties whose presidential candidate wins the second highest votes. That is good for accountability. And secondly, it removes or mitigates the winner-take-all perception. The leader of the party which becomes second becomes the leader of the opposition, and with his or her running mate automatically becomes members of parliament and assume the leadership of official opposition. This formula should apply at the county level as well. I further propose that with the leader of opposition taking leadership of the opposition in parliament, the deputy president should then take over the leadership of government business in parliament. This should be replicated at the county level by deputy governors. The Senate, we must make a decision to make the Senate the upper house. Thirdly, cabinet secretaries should be ex officio members of parliament and must attend sittings of parliament at least once a week, and whenever required to answer questions on the floor of the house. This will remove the perception that there is a disconnect between the executive and the legislature. I, however, maintain that members of cabinet should not be elected members of parliament. Fourthly, we must resolve once and for all the mechanism for the attainment of the 2/3 gender rule. We must apply ourselves to it, we must deal with it, and we must overcome it.
But he got an opportunity through this dialogue combination to ensure that all that he wanted were going to be achieved. The 2/3 gender rule, the two offices, opposition leader and the prime minister, inclusion of those, the CDF, and all the monies that belong even to the women rep and the senators. So everything that William Ruto wanted has been achieved. Raila has helped William Ruto to achieve what he wanted. But I dare say that Kenyans have not gotten their rights. They have been left on their own. Let us just speak that truth. I know there are austerity measures that they have mentioned, but those are secondary. The main reasons why people went to the street was to remove the Finance Bill 2023, to reduce the VAT that William Ruto had raised from 8% to 16%. And you all know that these were instructions from the IMF and the World Bank. They were to reduce the VAT levy, they were to reinstate subsidies, they were to reinstate kazi kwa vijana. Those are very practical measures, but they cannot, because the World Bank and the IMF will not allow them. The World Bank has been reviewing their ability to be given more loans, and those are the conditions. And number two, they don't want to go the Uhuru way for fear of political mileage. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where we are headed. I will still ask you one question. What do you think about the government in the next 4 years with William Ruto as the president? Because Kenyans always speak and they know. David D always engages people on Twitter. People have said, stop corruption. We're in a government where they don't listen to Kenyans. Cherargei the other day told us that Murkomen is corrupt, and Murkomen is just a tip of an iceberg. We know that the entire cabinet, 3/4 of the cabinet, are corrupt. David D himself told us that this government is full of wastage, so much that even the independent institutions cannot cure this, including the offices like the Auditor General's office cannot control them. And so I thought that one of the things that they should even look at is this wastage, corruption, this kind of corruption that even is escalating to the neighboring countries and they are running away from us. If we cannot touch on the finance bill, what were we doing in Bomas? For all those months, what were we doing in Bomas? No wonder people had even questioned that this was a way to waste Raila's time. It was a way to waste time. Now, what must we do? Number one, I don't think going to the street would be a cure, because there are some people are suffering, but they don't want to go to the street. They will be calling upon Raila and the Azimio to go to the streets when they sit back and watch. And then the narrative of this government, I mean the opposition, wants to kill our businesses that are already dead. People will be killed, people will be maimed, and I don't think we should go to the street. If there is anybody who wants to go to the street, this time round, let them go without the politician behind them, so that we avoid giving the government an opportunity to spread the rumor and propaganda that, you know, Raila this, Raila that. Number three, if this can be an exit strategy and a way of reorganizing Azimio so that they can start their campaigns early enough, as they do this, Kenyans who voted for Kenya Kwanza will be suffering so much to an extent that they will be longing that people go to the streets, and people will not go. And then they will be told that if they want any changes, then we go together in 2027 to remove William Samoei Ruto. That is the only way. Let people feel the pain. Let people understand that for every choice that you make, there are consequences. Let people lament. Let people cry. Let it be a moment of crying and gnashing of teeth. But let us not go back to the streets. This is the moment when we should learn that choices have got consequences. In due course, before 2027, let Azimio come up with a formidable force. Let them resist, because I know that there are concerted efforts from the NIS to ensure that Azimio is broken. They don't want, especially Kalonzo Musyoka and Raila Amolo Odinga, to stay together. And you will see this in the next few weeks or months. There are people who have been sent and they are pushing Raila that you must go, you must be the flag bearer no matter what. And you know that if Raila will insist that he's going, he must be on the ballot, you know that Kalonzo Musyoka is ripe, and he has said he's not going to support Raila for the 4th time. And there's another team that has been dispatched to pressurize Kalonzo Musyoka to contest. If you ask me, I think Kalonzo Musyoka should try his luck with the support of the entire Azimio, because Raila had even given us a coded message that they could be supporting Kalonzo. Uhuru Kenyatta has done the same. But now, let us be very careful. If that is the program, then let them strengthen their parties. I know Kalonzo is in charge of Kamba votes, but Jubilee and ODM must try and flex their muscles, because I can see William Ruto trying some recruitment drives in Nyanza. But ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this for free. The MPs must reject this outcome in totality, because it's only created offices, the office of the Prime Minister, the office of the opposition leader, and it has helped William Ruto to achieve what he wanted. In fact, that is why they are very happy. If you see an outcome that it is making Ichungwa to be happy, that outcome is not good for Kenyans. Even as we speak, they still want to bring some bills to Parliament that will increase the amount of fuel, the amount of taxes, and Kenyans are already suffering. And I support the members of Parliament. This should be rejected in totality, if you ask me, because it is not going to reduce the cost of living. But if we so decide that they are passing it, let them just pass it so that we can have the CDF entrenched in the Constitution, Prime Minister's office, all those. But we should not pass it pretending that this is meant to lower the cost of living.